Who doesn't like cheap unlocked phones, right? Well, if you're in the market for one of them, Miami-based BLU products have an assortment to choose from. But this one I'm checking out might be an appealing one for you. Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena, and you're watching our video review of the BLU Life 8 XL. The BLU Life 8 XL has a refreshing and youthful design that's evident with its various color options to choose from. They're bright, they're bold, and again, just kind of favors a very youthful appearance. It's phablet-esque size device, so it's a handful to say the least, but it's pretty lightweight. But the biggest issue we have here is just build quality and its construction. It's more on the flimsy side. It's especially evident when we look around the sides. You can see some of the seams aren't glued together perfectly, so the light from the LCD starts to bleed out of there. And just overall, it just doesn't have that solid feel we get in other phones. We're dealing with a phablet-esque size smartphone here, so it features a 5.5-inch 720p IPS display. Details are okay, they're effective enough despite the fact that it has a very low pixel density count of 267 pixels per inch. But overall, we could tell you that the display is just of poor quality. There's nothing really attractive about it. It has some weak viewing angles, easily distorts, looks washed out. You have a color temperature of 8500 Kelvin, which is a very cold color temperature. Though the 510 nit luminance is nice, the entire package just comes off subpar. What we like about most of BLU's phones is that they're running mostly stock Android experience, but with this, it's Android 4.4.4 KitKat, which is unfortunate because nowadays, especially now mid-2015, you should have at least Android 5.0 Lollipop from the onset. But despite that, it's still quite functional. You have the full power Android, so high personalization with the home screen. You have also quick multitasking with the recent apps menu, and of course you have tight integration with all of Google's ecosystem and services. One of the biggest concerns of most entry-level smartphones is their performance. Now with this, it's powered by an octa-core 1.4 GHz MediaTek processor with 1 GB of RAM and the Mali 450 GPU. Now while it's able to handle most basic operations with decent amount of responsiveness, it's not really meant for complex operations, especially 3D gaming. It just has a huge hit with the frame rate and does tend to slow down a lot. Likewise, we could say the same thing about its camera performance. You have an 8 megapixel snap burner in the back with an dual LED flash, and around the front you have a 2 megapixel one. Now while it's able to take some okay looking outdoor shots when there's plenty of lighting, the entire production looks subdued looking, both in detail and color reproduction. Indoor shots under artificial lighting also tends to have a slightly hazy look to them. Now when you use HDR mode though, it surprisingly does a better job by boosting the exposure appropriately, while also adding some post-sharpening effects to draw out some details. But don't expect anything good in low lighting conditions. It's just too dark, too murky to make out anything, and it's very prone to blurring as well. Now its 1080p video quality is pretty much in the same boat, and also makes us wonder how it's able to pass for high definition, especially when details are slim and faint to distinguish. We want to stick with the Google Play Music app just because the one that comes with it preloaded from BLU is pretty bland and generic. The speaker produces an output of 75.8 decibels, which looks good on paper, but in reality, it just lacks any dynamic audio range and robustness to make music sound poppy. Video playback is smooth, 1080p videos are handled fine, but the issue that we have here is just the bland look of the display. It's just washed out and doesn't really provide that optimal experience. Call quality is passable, and for the most part, we didn't have too many nagging issues with it. The only thing we gotta point out is that on the other end line, our callers tell us that our voice is accompanied with a slightly hissy and robotic tone, but beyond that, they're audible for the most part. Inside of the BLU Life 8 XL is a pretty modest sized 2920 mAh battery, but in our experience, it just delivers average results, so that generally means 1 day of normal usage. And our battery benchmark test pretty much reaffirms that, as it achieves a mark of 6 hours and 40 minutes, which is on par to some other phablets out there, but nothing extraordinary. It's almost unbelievable to think about the price point of this phone. It's $130 full price outright, and that's for an unlocked handset with a 5.5-inch 720p display. You have an 8 megapixel camera, an octa-core processor, a 3000 milliamp hour battery, and mostly stock Android experience. What's not to like? It seems like it has a lot of value to it, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case because you get what you pay for, and it shows from its build quality to the overall performance of the handset. It just underperforms in many areas. And honestly, you're better off paying $100 to $150 more to pick up something more substantial like the Asus Zenfone 2 or the Alcatel One Touch Idol 3. And trust us, for the added money, you won't be disappointed. So if you guys want to learn more about the BLU Life 8XL, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.